y'all, welcome back to Homestead. I'm gonna have to work and talk to you guys today. This is the only way I can get a video out. So this is off of one of our raised beds. This is huge. This is our contender bush beans, our first picking. It's humongous. I've got 5 quarts in the canner right now. We've had fresh, I've got more. This was just from yesterday afternoon. This was in the active compost bed. Humongous harvest. So I want to talk to you guys about that, and I want to talk to you about several things today. If you've been on our channel, you'll know that we've been doing companion planting and intercropping. That's just kind of some stuff I've coined. Companion planting, you know, where you can plant stuff up under other plants that harmonize together. But what I've done essentially is cram my gardens full with stuff like bush beans, tomatoes, squash, and I've got it all crammed together. Normally they tell you not to do it because it increases disease, blah, 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 blah. I've had cabbage mixed in with it. We just picked 2 red cabbages. I've got purple coleslaw ready for tonight. We tested it. It's amazing. From the red acre cabbage. Beautiful, beautiful. But all this stuff you're told not to do because it increases disease and the snake factor, okay? So scared where you're walking. And I did not go into my garden until yesterday when my husband was here and he helped me. And guys, if you have bush beans everywhere and you've got them planted so thick, once you plow through there, literally picking and pulling those plants, a lot of leaves will break off, they thin up, you're pulling weight off of them, they bounce up. Now you can see dirt everywhere in the active compost bed if y'all have been watching my videos. So don't worry, it's clear now. And bush beans, guys, are done in 2 to 3 weeks. You're gonna pick a couple times and that's it. So that's why I planted them so heavy, but mainly, I wanted to try all this because the internet says you cannot cram stuff together because of disease. Well, this is the, knock on wood, the best year I've ever had, and there has been no disease, none whatsoever. And someone commented on one of our videos about corn. They saw our garden tour and they said they saw my ornamental corn up here. And I had just a little bit. Y'all have seen me plant corn before where I do my 400-foot rows. Yesterday we planted 4 more 100-foot rows and we put ammonium nitrate to the corn. But anyways, the person saw a few stalks of ornamental corn and they said, hey, you need to plant that at least in 2 rows for it to pollinate. And I said, well, look, I know our viewers know we've done video after video on corn and how to grow it. And it is what it is. They know. I said I was going to hand pollinate this. So, and I think I've said that at some point throughout all this, but anyways, I was not meaning to be deceiving. You need to plant corn together, so I think. I don't know. But this ties back into the companion planting and the intercropping and just smashing my gardens full of plants and having the biggest harvest I've ever had. Guys, I am questioning what we're being told. And I'm getting out here and I'm trying to put rubber to the road and see if this stuff really works or not, because I just don't trust what we're being told. I don't. As far as how to do stuff, the best way to do it. What may work for one person may not work for another, but a lot of this stuff is off garden websites. They tell you cannot do this. Well, why? Why can't you smash your garden full or plant it full of bush beans and squash and tomatoes and everything else? Why can't you? Why can't you? You may have disease, but from what I'm seeing, I'm not. And so that has really been an eye-opener this year. And as far as the corn, I told my husband yesterday, I told him the comment, and the person was not ugly. They were just saying, hey, you need to plant multiple rows together. And I told him what the person said, and he said, well, you need it to pollinate. I said, I know that. I assume that. That's what I've been told. So I've always planted multiple rows together, either in blocks. And I said, but why does corn need to be so far away, like a mile or a quarter of a mile away, to keep from cross-pollinating? So you need corn in at least 2 rows. I recommend 3 to 4 all together. But yet, that close, within a 2 foot apart. But yet it needs to be miles away to not cross-pollinate from dent corn to sweet corn and things like that. That's what the internet says. This, guys, what we're being told, I just don't trust. I don't know it. I don't know it. I have to go out here and see it for myself. And it all may be true. I don't know. But just like cramming the gardens full, sometimes you just got to get out here and try it. What have you got to lose? I mean, we've always had disease here, like powdery mildew, tomato blight, and like I've shown you with my tomatoes, planting them so close together, you might as well try it and cram it together, because we're going to have blight here no matter what, and I'm going to increase my harvest. That's what I am personally doing. You do not have to do that. That's just what I choose to do. But I want to talk to you guys about misinformation and why, one reason I just don't trust anything I hear. I have been reading a lot. At night I'll read novels, and y'all know that. I've talked to you about reading before, and I like historical stuff. That's just what I like. And right now I'm on the Dust Bowl. I have read that so much, so many novels about the Dust Bowl. I love it. Just that era. I like older stuff anyways. And book after book after book that I'm reading, pretty much to sum it up, and you guys can chime in if you're from out west. I know we've got some Midwestern people on here, but from what I understand, now all my family is from Ireland, overseas, or Europe, or they have been in Appalachia since the Revolution. So I don't know. Our family never went really out west. One or two, but they came back. That's in modern time. But every book says that the people in the Great Plains, wherever they were located, each book, that the dust storms got so bad during the Dust Bowl that their children were having trouble breathing. Everything was dying because of drought, their cattle, their crops, and so they packed up and left. And the reason that they knew to leave was because, and go west to California, that was a huge place, it's because flyers were being mass circulated to get people out there, because it promised the land of milk and honey, and it promised agriculture that was just impeccable, and you could make a living out there, and it was pretty much good money. And so people would leave, and they packed up what they had. It was terrible. These poor people, it was all they could do to get across the desert, and jalopies and everything else, and by the time they got to California, there were no jobs to be had. Every book says that most of them, once they got there, wish they had never left. They were just in a bad spot. Do you stay with the dust and everything dying because of drought and health problems with your family? But here you are out in California, you don't even have a place to rent. They had nowhere to work. The job market was flooded. People could not find jobs, and then it was just even worse out there. A lot of them lived in tents and homeless camps, encampments set up. People lived out of their vehicles the best they could, and it says over and over they wish they had just never left. Right now I'm watching a documentary by Ken Burns about the Dust Bowl. I love Ken Burns. I like watching that. And same thing. It was so bad they wish they had never left. But it talks about the Great Plow Up. That's episode 1, and how this really came to be. And the government in the early 1900s begged people to go out to Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, promised fertile farmland. And the people came out there, and it said that real estate agents even went to prison over this, because they would sell stuff to people without, all going through the regular stuff. And it was just really a scam to get people out there. They promised trees and the land of the milk and honey, just like they did about California. And they get out there, there's no trees, there's no nothing. But they wanted farmers to plow the plains up. They wanted to destroy the buffalo grass, and because it was so flat, they could plant wheat, they could plant corn. And so that was encouraged by the government at the time, and people would go out there and do that. They made easy money. Well, not easy, but it was good money. It was good money to be had when money was scarce, and people did great. The problem is once the government told them that, once they got out there, it literally destroyed the ecosystem. When they turned under that buffalo grass out in the plains, and this is in all the books I'm reading as well, it destroyed everything. And so that created the Dust Bowl. There was no retainer of moisture when they did have moisture, when they did have rain, and these dust storms started. So my question is with these two things, this is why I don't trust a lot, okay? Now, I trust my beliefs, my religion, but I do not trust things that I'm just told off the internet, just as a backyard gardener, as a homesteader, because so much stuff has been promoted in our lifetimes that we should go do. Just like those people were told, you need to go plow this up. People were telling them that. You need to go plow it up. You need to farm. This is easy money. This is good money. And look what happened. Okay, people were told to go to California. They were told to go out there. They were encouraged. They said it was the land of the milk and honey, and they got out there, and it was nothing but a disaster because there were no jobs to be had. There was no... there was so many people picking those crops when they did come in that it was terrible. I mean, you couldn't find a job. So my whole thing is with this, and I've talked about this before to you guys, but we have to be careful what we listen to And you really, really, really need to go out here and just try it on your own. You really need to, as far as gardening and things like that. I'd have to test what I'm being told, because I just don't, a lot of times I just don't trust it. Or I see my gardens, I see how they do, and I know what works. This is why I encourage everybody, you just get out here and plant. Just go out and plant. You'll learn. You'll learn. You will learn some way or another. And unfortunately, the only way to learn is to get out here and fail. That's it. You've got to see it. You've got to taste it. You've got to work it. You've got to hear it. You've got to tactile experiment with this stuff and know for yourself what works and what doesn't. Just because something works for me, it may not work for you. And I tell y'all that. I'm not the one to tell you how to do everything. I'm showing you what I am doing. You may want to try this as well. And y'all know that. I mean, I think everybody does, but I just don't know, guys. I really don't know. I'm looking at my tomatoes here where I planted 6 around one cage, around the cage. And one died. The plant was just bad from the get-go. But they're doing fine. You know, where are you going to find that? That's like somebody put on one of my videos. I thought growing in tomato cages was bad. No, you can grow in a cage. You can grow without a cage. You can grow on a cattle panel. You can grow on a stick. You can do whatever you want to. You can literally let them grow on the ground. They're a vine. That's how they are out in the wild. The problem is you may get rot and blight more quickly. Your fruit may be sitting in water or damp dirt, and it will cause mold and the fruit to break down. But otherwise, you know, you can do whatever you want to. You'll learn. You will learn, and you will see. And guys, it's homesteaders in general. I think we're just an untrusting bunch because of stuff like that and what's happened. And I think the people today in modern society that are wanting to do this, they probably don't like what they see anyways going on, and so they don't trust a lot of things. How many things have happened down through history that has led people to believe that you can't trust everything you're told by the so-called experts? Because guess what? The soil conservationists and everything else out before the Dust Bowl happened, they were saying that it would be great to plow the land. They were experts. They were saying that you needed to take that grass up, that buffalo grass, and turn it under. A lot were. I mean, that's, guys, you can find that in any book. That's why this happened. We didn't just go out here and destroy the land on purpose. We were told to do that. We were encouraged to do that. So we've talked about on here carbon and everything else, and how we're told by the experts that having a backyard garden is killing the environment. We're told that, you know, people are finding that everything we're doing is bad for the environment. I've seen commercials that's bashing homegrown food, and y'all probably know what I'm talking about, but there's people that's saying homegrown food is nothing like commercially bought food, and that you do not need to grow. That's what's being advertised. That has been advertised for the past couple of years, and it's making it look disgusting to grow your own food. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with this right here? I know what's on it. Nothing but a green bean and chicken manure that fertilized it. That's it. I know what was in the chicken feed. I know what was fed to the chicken. I know how the chickens look. That's like farm fresh eggs. There's a reason that mine are orange and yours at the store, or whoever's at the store, may be pale. There's a reason for that. I think anytime you can go do something on your own, it's better, because I don't know, I'm just a different type person. I like to test theories. I really do. And guess what? A lot of times I've read stuff online, just like you've got to side dress corn. It's right, honey. It's right 100%. You've got to. You've got to. You've got to throw ammonia to it. If not, it's not going to grow well. You've got to. Here's something right here that I have seen over and over and over. People with these beautiful backyard gardens, they have raised beds with potting mix, and they have corn growing in it. I see this all the time. Well, I decided I was going to do like the internet, and I was going to copy them and have corn up here in my raised beds. Y'all seen my corn instead of my pasture. Well, I do have it in my pasture too. And most of it's fell over because this soil's not sturdy enough to hold these roots and this tall corn. It's not. Some's come back, some hasn't, but I've learned now. I will never plant it up here again. I can't help it. It's just my soil is too loose to hold this tall, heavy corn. You'll learn. You'll learn. that's why I say plant as much as you can, everywhere you can, anything you can. Plant, 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 because if it does come down to where we have to grow our own food, you're going to have to know what you're doing and know how to do it well, because most people don't have acres and acres to farm. If you've got acres and acres to farm, you have to worry about gas, diesel, equipment maintenance. You have to worry about the weather, because most of us are not wealthy enough to have water irrigation systems out for crops. We don't have that massive scale. You've got to worry about deer. You've got to worry about raccoons. You've got to worry about anything known to man. Or how about this? How about a hailstorm come through? I had that last year and it took out all of my squash and zucchini. Just think if you've got acres planted and you're depending on this. I'm a huge advocate for backyard gardening, because you can get a humongous harvest in a little space, enough to offset your grocery bill. I tell y'all to do this. I beg y'all to do this. You can do it, okay? If you want to go buy the stuff to buy the raised beds, if you want to till up your yard, whatever, you can grow your own food. But don't get so wrapped up in what the internet's saying to do. Or even what I'm telling you to do. Anybody, you've got to go out here and do it on your own way. And your way may not work for other people. We've talked about this before. I think we all ought to hear different ideas. I think that is the best thing. You need to hear what other people are doing and see it. Even if you see what I'm doing and you don't like it, it may trigger your mind to kind of improve yours a different way, or change it up, or see if you're happy with how yours looks or whatever. That's how you get educated online with stuff like this, looking at other gardens, seeing how they do. A lot of times I felt like mine was terrible, and I'd look at someone else's on YouTube and I'd think, hey, we're doing pretty good, you know? That's the only way you're going to learn, is to compare, especially if you don't know how these plants are supposed to look. I can promise you, my first year growing eggplant, it was like this tall, the whole plant, and I thought, hey, you know, I don't know if that's right or not. I've never grown one. None of my family had ever grown one. It was not right. So you'll learn. You've just got to immerse yourself in it. But it worries me if we do have to grow our own food, for the simple fact I do not understand how people are making it with inflation. Groceries keep going up. I feel like they are. They may not. I don't know. It seems like the prices are ridiculous to me. If they keep on going up, what are people going to do? And it seems like, y'all can say this below, I mean, let me know, in my stores, the fresh fruit and vegetables, the quality is getting worse and worse and worse. And I've commented on this before, but it's still continuing to get worse. Apples banged up, bruised up. I know it's not the right time of year, but I've never noticed this before, ever. I mean, the quality of everything is terrible, terrible. Even stuff that's in season, it doesn't look good. I don't know. So I think you all need to go out here, and I think you need to grow. We've talked about that, but I think that you need to test theories. Just like I said, think about the Dust Bowl. Think about everything in life that has happened, and people have trusted what they've been told, and it didn't pan out that way in the end. And especially if you're listening to a so-called expert, you know, it's rough. It's tough. So anyways, all I know is we're trying to live a simple life, and I like to listen to what they say. I like to listen to what other people say, and I like to make my own educated opinion about it. And the education comes from the School of Hard Knocks. It doesn't come from books usually. The most educated people I know are the ones that put hand to plow, that actually go live this stuff. I've got education. I told my husband yesterday, I said, I don't remember even what I learned in high school, half of it. I know it trained my brain. It was good at the time, and I use stuff that I don't think about, but it's, you know, schools, they don't even teach basic skills anymore. They don't teach, I know my local school did not teach home ec after I left, home economics. They didn't teach it. I don't even know if people today know how to balance a checkbook. I know that most probably don't have a checkbook anymore. They probably just use debit, but along with balancing a checkbook, you learn that you can't get in debt. You can't get in the red. That's why you have to balance it. I mean, I don't know. Now it's all just a card or this electronic money that you never handle or see, and people get so bad in debt that way because they just think it's sitting there, or they don't understand the repercussions later on. Cooking a meal. People don't know how to cook. People do not know how to cook. People do not know how to mend clothing. They don't know how to sew. People don't know how to fix things mechanically. People just don't know anymore. If they do know, it's from what they've been taught at home. And it's sad for the people that are not at home, you know, I don't know. So it's tough, guys. It's tough. And the more independent you are, the less controllable you are, really. And that's a goal that I strive for every day. For whatever you're told or whatever, you need to be an educated thinker, a critical thinker. And common sense goes a long ways. A long ways. All right, guys, I encourage every one of y'all to look up the Dust Bowl and just think about what happened around your own area. I'm sure that everybody's got a story. I can think about tons of stuff around here in central Alabama. That people were promised stuff, told that stuff was good, and it just didn't pan out that way. So I encourage you all to research that, especially if you're a homesteader, because the whole Dust Bowl, it impacted everybody, but it especially impacted homesteaders that were living off the land. That's what they all were homesteaders. That's when the Homestead Act came to be. A little bit before that, but it impacted the people that live off the land. So don't let it happen again, guys. Think about it. We'll see you guys next time on Homestead.